every single time that you have a month or 2 months or 3 months of very low sales, all those people still want to do something. Problem is the bounce back on the other side is so crazy.
Welcome to the Tom Storey Show with Steve Karrasch and Tom Storey, where we discuss everything real estate or whatever else is on our minds.
Nope, I'm good. All right.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Tom Storey Show. I appreciate you being here, whether you're listening on Sunday or any other day of the week. We really, really do appreciate it. If you're watching us on YouTube and you've been coming back every single week and you have not yet subscribed, please do it. If you subscribe, I think Steve will shave his mustache. Is that what it is, Steve?
That's not going to happen. Listen,
creepy
we're averaging like close to 6,000 views per week right now, Tom Storey, and we have less than 4,000 subscribers. Like, this math makes no sense.
Doesn't that just mean the channel's performing well, though? Isn't that a good thing? I would think.
No, because everybody needs to hit. I think it means about 2,000, 3,000 people don't want to be associated with us.
Well, I'll tell you, the guest that I haven't introduced yet, she said to me, she's like, Tom, if you're not at 3,000 subscribers, don't even think about asking me to come on this show.
Right.
So the I'm joking, obviously, but the more people that subscribe and the more guests we reach out to and show them the validity of the show, it certainly helps. So if you are showing up every single week and watching the show and appreciating it, if you could subscribe, we would appreciate that. And hey, for all you audio listeners, we didn't forget about you either. Thank you for showing up and downloading the episodes every single week.
Now over 560 some odd Spotify followers, by the way. So that's growing. That side is growing too.
Is awesome. Well, we are back. This is the Tom Storey Show. We're talking about real estate. I'd like to introduce our guest this week, who is Vonny Fast. Now, for all the listeners, don't worry. We didn't bring on another real estate agent this week to talk about what's going on with the real estate market and pump up the market, because that's all Steve does every single day. We brought on someone way smarter than that. We brought on someone who does not sell real estate. In fact, what they do is they sell things to real estate agents, and that is the genius in this. So, Vonny Fast, welcome to the show.
Thank you guys so much for having me. It's going to be fun.
I didn't really give you the real introduction that you deserve there. Vonny, our relationship goes back probably 7 or 8 years. You're our main contact for how we give gifts to our clients, so we can go into more detail on exactly what that is. I know Steve has used the Cutco brand for, Steve, you went back how long for Cutco?
As long as I can remember in my career. I think Chris was doing it before I even joined the team.
So, Vonny, for the people that don't know what that means, what is it? What do you do, and how do we all have a relationship?
Yes. Well, Tom, you and I go back 7 to 8 years. So we support mostly realtors, other business owners as well, mortgage brokers. I work with some construction companies, builders, things like that, but mostly realtors, I think, because I just connect to you guys. I really get your world. We support realtors with gifts, client appreciation, whether it's closing gifts, referral gifts, you name it. And we do it in a non-traditional sense, in the sense that we use Cutco primarily as the vehicle to deliver gratitude. So instead of just the typical basket or gift card, bottle of wine, things like that, those are typically consumed. So we wanted to go a different direction and get you guys something memorable that you could gift clients that they would have forever and use daily, and just would be classy gifts, right? High end, good quality, stays forever. So that's what I do. And so I've been immersed in the real estate world for 15 years. So I've been an entrepreneur for 30 years. I've been with Cutco actually for 30 years. I started my journey selling Cutco years, like I was first year university student. We can talk more about that.
Door to door?
Never door to door. We weren't actually allowed. We had to do it through referral. If somebody went door to door, that was actually not okay. We had to kind of start with our sphere and get referrals. It was a referral only business. And again, I can talk more about that later if you want, but I built my database that way and built my business that way, doing in-home sales and service through referral, and then entered the real estate industry 15 years ago to support agents with this gifting idea. It wasn't my idea. Can't take credit for the whole idea, but it really just went, spread like wildfire across North America. And myself and a few colleagues we brought it to Canada, basically. So now speaking of real estate, I'm in touch with realtors across Canada every day.
How are they
All the
doing? Are they feeling okay these
Yeah,
days?
yeah. Are orders up or down right now, Vonny? That's the closing gift market tells us which way we're headed.
It's a
Hey,
good
well,
representation. Yeah.
Yeah, let me tell you about that. It's interesting. It's going to be our third best year ever,
Hmm.
which is really, really cool.
Did you get people at the beginning of the year to pre-order everything?
So yeah, let me clarify this. Our business tripled during COVID because we were able to get the message out across Canada. So that's part of the reason my business is actually really doing okay still. Like I have a strong database, a big database of clients, realtors that I work with across Canada, but definitely like it's a different year. And we feel that reflective. Like my business is actually, I ride the market just like
Right.
you guys. My business is reflective of that. I think why I'm a little bit maybe insulated from the crazy downs of the market is because we do have a strong database, and I got everybody to pre-order 100 gifts at the beginning. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, it's definitely I'm in Alberta, so I hear different things from
Where in
agents.
Alberta, just for the listeners, where in Alberta?
Calgary. Yep.
Yeah.
And
There seems to be something, I've said this before to guests, but there seems to be something in the water in Calgary for people that we knew just doing things at a high level. You're all very entrepreneurial out there. It's really interesting. Like for someone that's never really been there or spent time there, meeting people from there, it's like everyone I know there is doing things at a very high level.
Yeah, there's a real entrepreneurial spirit in Calgary. There definitely is. I mean, even my family, I'm an entrepreneurial family too. Kind of followed in my dad's footsteps. He was an auto body mechanic he still is. He's like 80, still works on cars. Anyway, he ran his own business. I don't know, Alberta, Calgary, there's a real spirit there. But yeah, I think my sense of it is I definitely hear a lot from my realtors that things have slowed down for sure gradually throughout the year as interest rates went up and up. And I think, just you're handling a lot of questions that's really busy with sometimes not as many results to tie to that. Right. Realtors are having to handle expectations, really educate. And that's what I see sales as anyways. Like we are educators, and I know, Tom, you buy into that philosophy for sure. But I think Calgary, it's interesting. I get a sense that it's a little bit stronger here than Ontario. I was talking to Marnie Campbell. She's one of our clients, and I know you know her. And she was saying that she once every few weeks she gets a call from people in Ontario wanting to move to Alberta, Calgary, because it's still a city where you can buy a 1953 bungalow for $700K, or like it's not, still the
That's
average.
1.3 in Toronto, right? So
right, yeah, and with interest rates going up, people are having to make interesting decisions, right? About
because so that didn't stop because when I thought a lot of that interprovincial migration seemed to be happening during the lockdowns and the pandemic, and people having like realizations in their life that like, oh my God, I can go do something that I've always wanted to do, and now's the opportunity. But right. Now that we're kind of, I don't know if we're fully past all the things that have gone on, but we're in a different part of the world now. People are still doing that. Still a good chunk of businesses, people from Ontario, BC coming over and going, you know what, it's time to come to Calgary.
Yeah, I think so. And maybe that's part of why we're getting a lot of migration into the city for other reasons as well. But we still are looking at, I think I was at a political town hall the other day, just trying to learn things. And affordable housing here is still like one of the number one, like the housing crisis is still like here too. But I think there's a little bit more strength. My understanding is in the Calgary market right now due to a number of reasons. I don't know if you want me to go into any more on that.
Honestly, I would love that. And actually, it's interesting you say that because, from our markets, me and Steve, we would look at Calgary and go, that is affordable housing. But then people in Calgary would go, no, this is not affordable housing. And it's interesting to see that even though there's such a delta in price points for all of our markets, regardless of market. I mean, listen, Steve could go on an hour rant on this. I can see him waiting. That conversation will be everywhere. And actually, so we're recording this on a Friday. On Wednesday, I did live news. And whenever you do the live news, you have to watch the news. It's like you're on for about 2 minutes waiting. It's actually kind of nerve wracking because you're like, can we just start? I just want to do this.
Yeah,
And it was a real estate story, and they showed Jagmeet, Steve, your favorite, and he was talking about affordable housing being built in Toronto and how we don't need any more luxury condos. It's like, it's hard to argue with what he's saying, but there was no like, well, who's going to build it? Who's going to build it? Where's the money going to come from? So Vonny, sorry to interrupt you there. In terms of everything that's going on in Calgary, do you want to kind of go a bit more in depth on that?
Yeah, well, I do know there's still multiple offer situations here, like but I do think the demand might, again, I could be speaking, I listen to my realtors, like I actually watch news. I totally should watch more news.
I don't know if you're missing much.
But yeah, I mean, the demand has slowed overall, and because of the interest rates, I think people are kind of holding, they're just kind of, I don't know, should I make the move, right? There's that uncertainty. But yeah, I think still that the demand is still outweighing some of that supply, but prices haven't really reflected that in an interesting, like prices are still like pretty high. It's interesting what you say, like it's all relative, right? Like it's all the environment or the water we're swimming in. We just, like in Calgary, I think, we're still like, oh, we need affordable housing. Like we still need more homes. We need more development. We need all that. And they're looking at, even down the street here in our neighborhood, they're looking at higher density, all that kind of stuff, like put more density inner city and all that kind of stuff to accommodate some of that demand over time. But my sense is that there's still like not enough supply. And, even though our average home price, I don't even know, is maybe $550 now versus what it would be in Toronto would be 1.1, 1.1.
You bang on. It's literally it's 1.1. Yeah.
But for us who have, I bought my wife and I bought our bungalow here 7 years ago at $700K, and my first condo was $130. My second condo was $300K. Like these are bigger number, like not 130 now, but $700K is still like a number for us we're not used to it. We don't swim in the water of what you guys have been exposed to, I guess. And so maybe it just, it's
It seems like Calgary's just doing the opposite of what our markets are doing. Whenever we're going up, they're going down, and when we're dropping off, they're still kind of riding along pretty nicely. Steve, have you finally seen now we are I think it's like 20 something months past the first rate hike. Have you started seeing the listing side of things where people are like, I got to sell. It's time. I can't hold on anymore. Is that now happening? Because there's a lot of chatter out there about foreclosures, and they're up 400%, which is going from 0 to like 10 or whatever the number was. But are you seeing that?
I get the feeling like there's some pressure, but realistically, our inventory 2 days ago started dropping again. And now it's continued. I was like, I don't know if you saw it, Tom. You probably don't watch my channel. You just click the like button and move on. But
I don't even click the like button.
Yeah, thanks. Thumbs down from Tom. I just did a video saying, and I've always said this, 6,000 to 6,500 is a very nice market for us in active listings on the marketplace. And as soon as it was creeping close to 6,000, and then I posted that video, and then I think it hit 6,100 for like a day or 2 days. And I just checked again, we're back down to 5,700. So we're seeing now, I thought we were going to see this continual steady increase even through January. And we're starting to see the seasonal drop off, of which I was not expecting at all. And then you think all this stuff about foreclosures and all these people that are in trouble, and there's the 90-day missed payments, there's the 6-month missed payments, which is extreme foreclosure. I was just in a presentation yesterday, and oh geez, what are they called? They gave me a pen. What's the other guys? Not the CMHC. What's the other guys? Canada?
Austin?
No.
The superintendent?
No, the other insurer. Not CMHC.
Genworth?
What used to be Genworth?
Oh my God. Sagen.
Canada. Anyway, one of these ones. I don't know. There's 3 major insurers, right?
Yeah, Sagen, I think, is the second one.
And then there's the other 2.
Which used to be Genworth, and there's another one, yes.
One of those ones, Canada. direct. I don't know. Anyway,
Someone will tell
whatever
us in
it
the
is.
comments. Yeah.
Totally, they will. And I could Google it right now, but I'm not going to, because rather I would tell you my half-remembered story. Basically, though, he was sitting there going like, listen, we are the insurer. The foreclosures are not here. The missed payments are not here. Like,
This was the client that worked for them?
This was a guy that actually worked for the insurance company, the default mortgage insurance company. And he's like, it ain't happening. It's just not.
It's not happening
yet. It's never happening yet. It's going to happen. Just give it another 90 days.
Next week.
But he's just like, we get to see the delinquent payment reports, right? The 30, 60, 90, and then whatever it is, 180-day delinquencies. And he's like, standard. Still just is what it is. It's no big deal. There's no alarm bells going off. And then the other thing that he said that I was like absolutely blown away by is their calculations. I don't know exactly what his role was, whether it's economist or whatnot, but he says that the current rate of immigration, Canada by 2050, so let's call it 25 and a bit years, will be at double the population of now.
So 80 mil?
So he just said, think about that. Think about the problems we're having at 40 million. Should we keep up at the same percentage increase rate over time, we're going to be at 80 million people by the time Steve retires here. So it's like, what is that going to do for the overall marketplace? Well, I think it's going to probably, continue to let people in Vancouver and Toronto just realize unreal amounts of value in their properties.
Yeah.
Or will it not pull up the prices, though, of the Calgarys, of the Edmontons, of the everything?
So something like Calgary then stands the chance, even, I mean, I've never been to Halifax, but these potentially can start to become large cities, right?
Yeah.
Like almost international style cities as well. Maybe what Vancouver was 25, 30 years ago. This episode is brought to you by Realty Ninja. Real estate agents, listen up. Realty Ninja has created over 9,000 Canadian real estate websites, and they are no joke. I've been using Realty Ninja in my business since they were a small little startup in North Vancouver. Tiny, dusty little office with old leather couch and all. But look at the ninjas now. Realty Ninja is the go-to platform for real estate agents in Canada. Websites are no longer a nice to have. They are a must. Your clients expect you to feature their listings in the best light possible. They expect you to go with Realty Ninja. The backbone of my real estate business is my website. I wouldn't pick any other company to host my website other than Realty Ninja. Don't believe me? Go to my website. Check it out right now. Go to krproperties.ca and you will see that it's powered by Realty Ninja and has been for over a decade. They have all of the features I need to grow my business year after year, including lead capture, mobile-friendly design, built-in SEO, and so much more. The best part of Realty Ninja is it's totally free to sign up, no credit card is required, and you only pay when you are ready to launch your new Realty Ninja website. And no, that's not it. Sign up today at realtyninja.com/Tom, and you will receive 20%, yes, 20% off of your entire first year when using Realty Ninja to host your real estate website. Their templates are super easy to work with yourself, or you can have the ninjas design something for you like I did. Not only is Realty Ninja the best product on the market, but it's also affordable. Listeners of this show know that I am as cheap as they come, and I've been using Realty Ninja for well over a decade now. Start your free trial today, and when you launch, save 20% using our link in the description below. And let Realty Ninja help you take your real estate business to the next level. And now, back to the podcast. Right? So I'm blown away by the trouble that we're not having, because as you know, Tom, I've been pretty pessimistic lately about the next 18 months. And now my mindset's even starting to turn around that, because interest rates, 5-year fixed rates, starting to go back down again.
Vonny, your real estate journey, I think, there's certain people that watch this show that maybe own lots of real estate, but I know there's a lot of people that are thinking about getting in, and a lot of the conversation right now is, well, this is not the right time. There's too much uncertainty. I'm not going to do it. When you bought that first condo for $100,000, was it in Calgary?
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because I
Yeah.
do have a story that I'm wondering whether to tell it. But
Please do. Please do.
okay, should I really? I was 30 years old, so my first condo was in Calgary. Yeah, it was 130K. Which it's interesting to me. I feel like I was actually thinking about this morning because I wasn't sure what you were going to ask me, but I was thinking about my personal real estate journey, which may or may not relate to like someone at 30 in Toronto who's looking at like the condo they're looking at is like 600,000.
600. Yeah.
Okay. But either way, I think the point that maybe could relate to other people, I'm not sure, but I have been super naive when it comes to real estate because I have never timed the market to, and maybe I had the luxury of that because interest rates, like I just was naive to it all. So why I'm laughing is I was 30 years old. I was going through a really hard time personally in my life. And I remember talking to my sister. She's older. She's older than me. And we were having a coffee and she's like, why don't you, and I just didn't know what to do next in my life. And I was renting for like whatever per month. I was renting for the amount of a mortgage payment, really, like might relate to other people. I was renting and she's like, why don't you just go buy a house just for something to do? Like, and I didn't really have the savings and my parents weren't contributing to that, but we had something like the RSP, first time home buyer thing. And I just, I think I got part of my down payment there. I had a little bit of savings. So I was able to put down the minimum required on a condo. And it just like, it gave me some purpose. And I don't even remember thinking about interest rates. I don't remember thinking or looking at the market where it was at. I timed it based on like what I needed and wanted to do at the time. So I know maybe people are more informed than I was at 30, but that was my entry into the market. And I bought in a really like seedy area. I don't even know. It was like whenever I told anybody, it was East Village in Calgary. And at that time, so that's like now I'm 49, almost 50. So that was 20 years ago. People were like, ooh, you're a single woman at 30 living in the East Village? Like, do you feel safe? And I was like, I'm kind of naive to that too. I have my bag of knives, I sold knives. I felt safe.
I'm carrying knives around. I feel totally safe.
But I did. And part of it was there was a blues club right by there that I freaking loved. And I was like, I'm going to live by the blues can. And also in apparently the seediest area. Anyway, I made my first decision based on, I think, like no information other than this urge to just live in a certain, like get into the market, something to do, a purpose. And I got in there. And then, I lived in that loft for a number of years. And then I found a second, I rented that out, found a second condo.
So you kept that?
I did, yeah. And again, based on the advice of some good people, I always I leaned into people. I leaned into my realtor. I leaned into good friends that were like, I really did, because I didn't know. I was like, you guys need to guide me. I really actually do that in my life. I tend to go towards, I'm like, I'm not an expert here, so I'm going to talk to whoever. I'm going to talk to my realtor. Honestly, I'm going to talk to my accountant. I'm going to get a bookkeeper. I'm going to get that. I don't do that stuff. I talk to people about, I do sales. I do build my business. But anyway, so yeah. And then a few years later, I made the decision to rent that out, found a great renter, and then bought a second condo for $300K. It was a new development, and stayed there for a few years, and then rented that out. And my wife and I 7 years ago bought this bungalow.
So do you still own both those condos? I
do, yeah.
What are they worth today?
Good question. Okay, so the $130,000 one, we just got assessed. What was this? Oh, it was $230,000. So it definitely rose in value. I mean, we don't have a parking spot, which is actually fine.
But that's 20 years of ownership. It's doubled in price in 20 years in Calgary, essentially.
Yeah, maybe not quite double, but like $230,000. If we put it on the market today, which we're not, but maybe $230,000, $250,000.
And how many square feet is that, just for reference?
It's like 1 square foot. Just kidding. It's so small though. I think it's shoot. You can tell I'm not a detail person.
It's okay. It's probably like a 500 square foot one bedroom, but a loft style. Okay.
Yeah, loft. 500 square feet, and then my second one bedroom and den. which we rent out now, is 800 square feet, and then our bungalow is just where we live, and we love this place. Like,
can I just point something out here, Tom? I just want for everybody that's going to be in the YouTube comments talking about the exact right time to buy and all this junk about how this is a bad time or this is a good time or where we need rates to be. The person on this call that probably owns the most real estate right now, which is in the middle, isn't really paying attention to all that stuff.
it's true.
It's like buy it, set. It's almost like the set it and forget it thing, right? Like like when it makes sense, you make the move. So you decided to make a purchase. Obviously, I'm not going to say that it was. It's definitely now harder to do. Maybe not than 20 years ago, because your interest rates would have been very much the same price. Obviously, a lot lower. Probably incomes, I'm assuming, a lot lower as well.
Yeah, it was.
But when you made that decision to buy, so that wasn't on your radar at all, and then one day you just thought, I'm going to go ahead and do it.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I was talking to my sister. I was like, kind of 30. I was like a milestone in my life. I'm like, I just got out of a 5-year relationship. I was lost, man. I was just lost and confused, dazed. And anyway, she's like, I'm like, what do I do next in my life? And I still remember. And the reason I laugh she's like, why don't you buy a condo? And I was like, okay, yeah. And I went to go to the bathroom. Like I don't even know if I should share this. I was sitting there on the bathroom. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to buy a condo. And it was like that. And I was
That's where I get all my best thinking done too, just to be clear.
You're in the shower, and I don't really know, like maybe it was intuition. It was this, that, whatever. She put it in front of me. I was like, yes, that's what I'm going to do right now. And I had the luxury, I'm honestly privileged. Like, yes, my income was a lot lower, but I was able to figure out what to do that. And I had the means, or I found the means to do that. But I'm really grateful. Like Steve said it. I don't, I know way more about the market. And I'm involved with realtors, and I got the industry more and more and more. But I think I was like, I'm going to follow my dream on this, or like my dream. I'm going to do that. And I'm just really grateful that I did.
So I'm a bit of a geezer on this. And I know people probably get sick of me saying this sort of thing, but here's the thing. When you tell that story, it's not that far off of my particular story. I was younger when I did it, but it was like, okay, I made the decision within 2.5 days of like, from where am I going to go rent next to, why don't I want to buy a place, right? So I made that choice. But what gets lost in so much of this, and it sounds like you were in a time in your life where you're like, I don't know what the F is going on with anything happening, right? So
nothing to lose, really.
Did you find, because I know what I found when I bought my first place and I moved in at 24, 25 years old. First of all, it was the first time in my life I lived by myself. I always had roommates or whatnot, lived at home.
Yeah.
2 things happened to me. One, I had to get very comfortable with being lonely, which was interesting for somebody that had never basically been alone. So that was a journey, because I remember coming home from work, being by myself and hating it, and then learning to love it. And then it became
now you miss it, eh?
Now I just like, kids, can you go out?
Daddy's quiet.
But what gets lost in everything that we do is the pride and home ownership. And if anything, at 30 years old, when you're lost and you don't know what to do, I don't think the best thing for you to do is go find yourself in Australia.
Yeah.
I think the best thing you can do is ground yourself somewhere, give yourself some pride of ownership over something, and then go ahead and find out what it is you're meant to do, because we're not all going to travel in Australia for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
Did you find what was the benefit you found? Is that when things changed for your work career, or was the work career already moving?
That's interesting that you asked that, because, I remember making that decision. And part of it was that I was paying the same, I realized, so once I made the decision, I was like, wait a second, or part of the decision making, yes, I decided I'm going to buy a condo, right? And okay, now I'm going to look at the feasibility of this. Like, it's kind of like the how shows itself once you sometimes you don't need to know the how. You just make the decision, say yes, and the how shows up. And I remember looking at the numbers after that, or as part of that decision, and my rent, I was paying like almost as much. And yes, I had to figure out the down payment. I had to figure out that. So, but I remember being nervous about it because I was already living alone, but only for a little bit in this basement kind of apartment. And I remember being nervous about it because I am in sales. I run my own business. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm 100% commissions ever since I was 18. And it felt like, even though it was very similar payments, it felt like a real commitment. Like, I can't just like move back home. Like, I have a mortgage payment now. And so in some ways that I've always been focused in my business. I've always been somebody that shows up and does the things I need to do. I'm really consistent that way. So it's not like that changed, but I remember feeling like, okay, there's a sense of commitment. Yes, pride of ownership. I own something here. I have a piece of land or a condo or a piece of the sky or whatever, but I got to make this thing like, this is for real now. I felt like I was adulting and forced me to find the means. And I've never looked back. It all kind of, but I remember being nervous about taking that step. It seemed like a real commitment. And, but I'm glad I did it. Like, it just.
What was your first mortgage payment? Do you remember the amount?
Yeah, good question. I think it was it 700 something? It was low. Like, but 20 years ago, that was like the same as a $1,500 month or whatever payment, I think now, but maybe it was 700 something.
I remember how scary my $633 a month payment was on my first place and my $115 maintenance fee.
Yeah, right.
And then I want to say
Yeah.
within a year and a half or 2 years, I was almost doubling that payment.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I could have done the minimum. I could have, but it was like, okay, we made this work. Now, obviously, the argument there is, well, things are a lot more expensive now. So were incomes. I qualified for my first place on $16, maybe $17 an hour.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Cool. Right. So that was and who's making that's literally minimum wage now. Minimum wage back when I qualified, I don't know what it was in 2004. I'm assuming it was $6.
No stress test back then in 40-year AMs, right?
No stress test, but my first rate, what was it? 584 or something. So I mean, very similar to now, but it was only a $138,000 place. But 3 years before, my brother bought a 1950s 1,000 square foot rancher on a 10,000 square foot lot for about the same price. For tenant, landlord, or homeowner insurance policies, go to squareone.ca/the Tom Storey Show. Use the link in the description. Save $20 when you start your free quote right now.
Yeah.
So that's how much the market had gone crazy at that time. And then my parents, what were they saying? They were like, oh, how is he ever going to get into the market? Right? How's he going to make it work? You're paying $140,000 for an 800 square foot condo. This is lunacy. The more things change, the more they stay the same.
Vonny, the two condos that you kept. So, I think that there's an argument that could be made that if you're going to invest in a Calgary condo, don't anticipate much price appreciation because it's not going to be the same as the freehold housing there and nowhere close to what condos have done in Ontario or BC. But is it fair to say those mortgages are pretty paid down and you might be cash flowing a little bit every single month on those two condos?
Sure, for sure. Yeah, by January, hopefully mortgages will be paid off. And again, I've been super lucky. Like it just, there's cash flow there now. And
that must be nice.
It is. It's really cool. And it gives you some freedom, some choices. And it's, I'm really glad I invested for sure.
But at the time, it wasn't an investment, right? It was just like I'm going to be a grown up and commit to something. It's not like you were thinking about in 20 years, I'm going to keep this thing. It's going to be paid off and I'm going to be making $1,500 a month in cash flow. That wasn't the thought when you bought it, right?
It wasn't so much. It was something to do. And sure, maybe I had the vision of it being a good thing in the future for me. Like, you kind of get the sense, like, get into the market and real estate is a good investment and all that kind of stuff. But I did it for a number of reasons. I suppose when I make decisions on things, I do them for a number of reasons. Like, so I was kind of following my heart there. I was following my head a little bit. I was, pride of ownership. I was nervous, but I was excited to focus on something like that and do something different. The numbers kind of made sense in terms of what I was paying. Yeah. And but I look at it now. So my second condo actually hasn't appreciated as much in value due to a number of factors. The development didn't end up going, but whatever. Like, I won't lose money there. I'll gain a little bit depending on the market. But that first condo was definitely, like, the whole East Village was revamped. And, that has appreciated 100,000, and then no mortgage on that one, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. I think that's the goal for a lot of people, whether they think that's the goal for the beginning or eventually figure it out, along the way. I want to get into, so this is a real estate podcast, but I know there's a lot of entrepreneurial people that listen to this. And I really want to kind of go down that path on, me, you, and Steve are very similar in the way that probably 90% of our business is word of mouth. We do a good job for someone, they want to talk about us. And we're going to go on a tangent on that, because I think regardless of industry, people listening to this will be very, very helpful for you. But just before that, Vonny, I'm sorry, I'm going to bore you for a second. I need Steve's opinion. Korea, Steve, put out their monthly. Now, these are October numbers because they're always like, it's a lagging indicator. In the next 15 days, we'll have the November numbers. But here's what Korea said, and this is all of Canada, right? And the headline that came out of this Korea report was basically the Canadian real estate market is in hibernation mode. Korea didn't say that, but that's what it was taken from it, okay? So national home sales fell 5.6% month over month in October. So the amount of properties selling in 2023 in October was 6% less than 2022. Now, I don't know if anyone remembers, 2022 October was not a great month.
Wait. October 23 was lower than 22?
Oh, I'm sorry. I read that wrong. Month over month, we fell 5.6%. So I did read that wrong. Okay. So to September, we were down 5.6% in total sales volume. But year over year numbers are interesting. Compared to last month. Yeah,
but compared to last year, what is it?
Hold on, let me get there. You're getting ahead of me here.
Okay, sorry.
Actual not seasonally adjusted monthly activity came in 0.9% above October 2022.
0.9%. So, okay. So it's lower. National average is actually lower than our board because our board's doing better than that.
Now,
we were up about 10% from last year.
Here's the interesting one, is Steve, you kind of touched on this. The number of newly listed properties across all of Canada declined 2.3% month over month, in where we saw them really ramping up for new listings. Now, across the entire nation, they have declined. The MLS Home Price Index, HPI, let me just pull this over here, decreased by 0.8% month over month, but was still up 1.1% year over year. So the average price was up 1.1% year over year for all of Canada, but we know it's not a bogus number, but it's like, it literally means nothing. It's like comparing, I literally said this on the news the other night. I was like, it's comparing a bad market to another bad market. So it's like this, don't get super excited if you think that a gain is a great thing. General thoughts on those numbers, Steve?
I mean, I like hibernation. It's probably, it feels that way. Well, I mean, it's pretty.
Is that the title of this episode?
If you think about, real estate bears are hibernating. If you think about a bear going into hibernation, you know what the problem is on the other side of that? What? They come out and they're hungry and motivated, man. So here's the issue. Every single month that we have a month with low sales, right now, rents, I don't know if you saw the story about rents, but they're hitting new record highs again. Yeah. Right. So every time the sales come down, rents go up because people still, as I say on every episode, sleeping inside, pretty in fashion, right? Pretty cool thing to do. So actually Mary Lou on my team, who's like almost a 40-year realtor, is like, every single time that you have a month or 2 months or 3 months of very low sales, all those people still want to do something. So she's like, the problem is the bounce back on the other side is so crazy. And actually, I think that's what happened this last year. Because the second half of 22 was abysmal. And then when we should have kept going more abysmal, everybody was like, oh yeah, I guess I got to still move.
Can I share a crazy stat with you? So Toronto Real Estate Board this year is on track to do 65,000 transactions. Okay. In 2021, we did 125,000. I think our 10-year average is like 85. That's not just the city of Toronto, right? That's all these different areas. Yeah. The last time we had sales volume at 65,000 units per year was 2001. And this is just like an industry thing. I know some realtors listen to this. In 2001, there was 17,000 active realtors in all of Toronto real estate and surrounding. You want to know how many there are today?
The reciprocal of that.
70 with a 0.
Yeah, 71 from 17 to 71. The reciprocal. Okay. That was pretty close.
That was pretty close. So it's a tough market out there. And it's interesting because the sales volume, you're right, it isn't happening and it's been low for several months in a row. What's it going to take? Because the inventory is there. It's on the market. I think it's priced wrong, a lot of it. But it's there. So what's it going to take? When do you think? Have you seen that video, by the way, of the bear coming out of hibernation and it like shakes itself off? Have you seen that video?
No.
It's really good. It's really good. It's really funny. It's like waking up from a long nap or like super hungover and you get up and you're like,
oh, so what's it going to take? I put out a poll a while back and it said which interest rate is going to set the market off on our channel. And it was like whatever, 5.5, 4 or 5.5, 5, 4.5, 4, or like 3.99, 2.99, whatever. 3.99 was the number. I don't think we're going back there. I think we don't need to get below, like if we go to 4.99, this market is a zoo again. In my market anyway.
I would agree. If inventory doesn't keep piling up, if the numbers continue to trend, the inventory is going down, although still much higher than it was.
Can I ask a question? I probably shouldn't ask Vonny, but I'm going to anyway because I'm a shit disturber.
Mm-hmm.
So your primary clientele is real estate agents from across Canada.
And mortgage brokers, but yeah, mostly realtors.
Well, let's not talk about them. They're bearish at the best of times. Where on demographic wise, geography wise, I think is the word I'm looking for. What is like the stereotypes of the different agents in different areas? Are there like Toronto realtors all suck like Tom Storey and Fraser Valley realtors are all awesome like Steve, or like what? Like, because I know like when I'm dealing with someone that comes from a different part of the country and they're moving here, their mentalities are very much the same. Or if I'm dealing with somebody who's buying a property and they're coming from a certain industry, then I know how they're going to act already. So like since your clients,
how they perceive realtors in general, or BC realtors?
No, but like, you probably have a unique perspective where you deal with so many real estate agents from across the country. I just wonder if there's any like, oh yeah, that guy's obviously a Hamilton realtor, right? Like that guy's obviously a Vancouver Island, like whatever, right? Like, is there any like stereotypes or differences across the country?
That's such a great question. I feel like I'm going to disappoint you on that.
We're all just jerks.
Yeah. I don't know if they fit the stereotypes, or if like, I guess that would be asking me if I have a stereotype too. I'm like, where I go, oh yeah, that's a realtor from Ontario.
Totally, yeah.
It's interesting. It's across the board. Like I'm going to be super lame and just say it. I shouldn't say that I'm lame, but I don't feel like there's really a stereotype. However, it is interesting having gone to Realtor Quest in Ontario, Toronto, that attracts like thousands and thousands. I actually don't know how many realtors attend there, but when we attend there, it's slammed. We are slammed with, of course, there's 70,000. I was shocked by that number. I thought it was 50,000 realtors in Ontario, but I guess I do have.
Oh, there's more in Ontario. That's just
he was just talking about Toronto.
But yeah, so I get it. Like when I do a real estate board a show here, Calgary Real Estate Board, there's 1,000 realtors that are there, or 700 realtors, but I do find like maybe this is I don't know if it's a stereotype or just a fact, but we're so intensely busy when we go to Realtor Quest in Ontario, and many of those realtors are not producing anything, right? It's kind of like that 80-20 rule. Like, I think that, or 90-10 rule, like there's a good percentage, or there's a small percentage that are doing a lot more of the business, which is true in any, like 80-20 is a rule, right? So I do see that more, but maybe it's the same in Calgary, like it's 80-20 still, but it just seems like, yeah, there's a lot of realtors, like you said, but my sense is obviously I'm working with people that are producing because they're
That's what I was going to say. Is that Vonny's perspective is probably different because she's dealing with the people that are willing to invest into their business, and they're probably doing decent business, or at least taking it seriously. So you're not getting as much.
Actually, why I asked though, Tom, because what I'm starting to see is a trend in a few spots, right? Like Toronto agents, maybe it's because there's so many of them, maybe that's the bias, but they seem to invest more in their own development of their business, like the development of them as people becoming better business people. Vancouver agents, generally speaking, there's very little investment in yourself to become a better agent. Calgary, something's going on where it's all like almost, I want to say old school, but I guess it's online. It's like lead gen style real estate. It's not so much necessarily focused on like repeat and referral as it is like the Google or the whatever, the Facebook ads and that sort of stuff. And then when you meet somebody from like Winnipeg, they're just happy to be there, right? Like, you know, they haven't figured out Winnipeg yet, so they're still just happy, normal folks, right?
I'm sure they've figured out where they live. Shout out to all the Winnipeg people.
Yeah. Shout out to the Winnipeg people. We should invite Anders on soon.
We should
actually. Yeah. Anyway, we should probably. But anyway, I was just wondering if there was any sort of thing, because they do. So when you go to like something like on Ontario, Toronto, and you're going to an event, you probably are, now that I think about it, you're probably having more interactions with people that are looking for client appreciation gifts because they have clients to appreciate.
Attract. And we deal with, of course, all realtors at all different volume levels for sure. But yeah, we do attract the people that are investing in themselves, and therefore their businesses are better. Like I actually have a strong bias towards, like, my business is always reflective of what I'm investing in. Like you talk about, some people are investing in their personal and professional development in their own businesses and whatever. I'm like, I am like that girl. I'm like, it always seems like the more I invest in my business and my clients and my relationships and, to build my business grows. Like, it's just absolutely reflective of that. But yeah, I think I'm biased towards, like, I deal with realtors that are producing something, at least, because that's why they're buying gifts.
Yeah. I mean, I think the real question is how many of them have asked to go on payment plans or financing for the gifts. That's the true indication of where the market's at. You don't have to share that publicly. Okay, so where I want to go with the conversation here for the last 10 minutes-ish, if I could talk, is there are business-minded people that listen to this. I feel like we've given them the real estate talk that they were looking for today. I want to know actually what I think is more valuable, but we're going to keep it till the end. You keep the best till last.
This episode of the Tom Storey Show is brought to you by the Storey team at LePage Signature in Toronto, Ontario. Although he's here on the recording with me right now, and I don't like saying nice things about him to his face, Tom and his team, well, they are probably your best pick if you are looking to buy or sell residential real estate in downtown Toronto. Let's face it, probably the city of Toronto itself. Tom, make a strange face if that's wrong.
That is correct.
That is correct. All right, we are good to go. So if you are looking for one of, if not the top agent in downtown Toronto for your residential real estate needs, condos, semis, detached, if you're looking to upsize or downsize, give Tom and his team a call. And Tom, how would they get in touch with you?
I think the best thing would be go to the first link in the description of this episode, and you can book a call with me at a time that works for you. And we'll go over all the information you need and see if we can be of service.
And I recommend, if you are listening to this from across the country and you're either moving to Toronto, or if you're an agent outside of Toronto and you have a client moving to Toronto, go ahead and book a call with Tom, because he would love to take your referral as well. That is the Storey team at Royal LePage Signature in Toronto, Ontario. He's a pretty good guy. He knows what he's doing. Just don't tell him I said so. Tom, the last part we need to do before the end.
This communication is not intended to breach
Cause?
any breach.
What's that?
That was
Oh, you want me to say it?
I don't know what the word is. I don't even know what the words are.
This communication is not intended to cause or induce breach of any existing agency agreement.
And now, back to the show.
Vonny, I know you've kind of downplayed a little bit. Like, I think you are, if not the number one salesperson at your company, you are very much at the top of it. You've built a business where I remember the first time, and we talked about this literally probably an hour ago.
Yeah, we did.
The first time I walked up to Vonny, I was like, Vonny, so many people have already told me that you're good at what you do. Do not give me any sales pitch here. Just show me where to sign and let's work together.
Yeah.
But that's the business that you've built. And I think there's a lot of people, regardless of industry, it doesn't matter. You sell knives, I sell houses. Those are different things.
Yeah.
But what you do on a day-to-day basis with the people that have worked with you or are going to refer you to other people is generally the same. And it goes across any industry. So for people in sales that sell anything, how do you get people to trust you and advocate for you and not have to spend money online on advertisements when you could get advertisements by someone just talking about you in a party with their neighbor, because then it's word of mouth, which is way stronger than any other type of marketing you could put out there, right?
Yeah. It's so interesting, and that just grows organically, right? With intention, I think, and purposefulness and deliberate. We were talking about the best sales presentation is a great reputation. I'm involved in a community that you're involved in. So that helps. Like people talk to other people. And if you give a great service and you got to be great at what you do. You're like, that's like the number one thing. And, we all, I think, what I know of you, Tom and Steve, and like, we all work on our craft. We work to be great at what we do. We know the market that we're in, or we know the product and service we provide. And we're always, trying to do our very best for everybody out there. And I think that you keep showing up and doing the right things and being good at what you do and investing in your relationships and serving people truly, like as simple, like I just show up every day and try to serve, really. That word gets out. And, whether it's, I've definitely asked for my share of referrals in the past, but at some point it does sort of take on a life of its own where people start coming to you and going, I heard about you. Like, let's do this. Like a day doesn't go by where I don't get an email from some sort of and I don't do any advertising, you guys. Facebook ads. I don't know the first thing about placing a Facebook ad. I'm pretty naive to that. Or paying for leads. I've never paid for a lead. I my business is a little different that way. But at the same time, yeah, whether you sell like knives or gifts or houses, there's so much that's the same. And so a day doesn't go by where I don't get hey, I was talking to one of my realtor colleagues, whether it's from your community, the Richard Robbins community, or somewhere else, where I don't get somebody like, hey, I've heard of you, which is such a beautiful place to get to. So, how did that get created?
Like, how do you reach out to somebody and ask them for business in a way that is not like a icky salesperson-y, used car salesman-y vibe? How do you do it in a way that comes across genuine and that they want to pick up your call when you call back next time?
Yeah, I think the relationship has to be there on some level. And so we were talking about building trust. I think you build a lot of trust, and you build a lot through the initial experience, right? Of taking a client through the transaction, through the buying and selling of their home, right? There's so much there that is about building trust as you go through and educating them, right? And I do think I'm a big believer I speak on referrals now. I speak on how to build a resilient referral business. And I think I'm a big believer in give. And then you can ask if you need to, because you've got so many of us, I feel, think that we're going to come across as desperate or salesy or somehow it's vulnerable to ask for referrals, I think, too, because you're asking for something you could be rejected on it. But that's why I think you should ask when you have a strength of something there, the relationship, there is some trust already. And then you can say, and I actually, planting the seed with your clients or with people like, hey, I think you do it, Tom, beautifully, or at least I used to do this. Like, hey, I'm going to do my very best for you. I'm going to, everything I do is like, we're going to rock this thing together. We're going to do our best given these market conditions. Like, you got to be real with people, but planting the seed of like, and just so you know, my goal is to do such a great job for you that you can't help but refer me to friends and family, because I want to take care of people. I want to take care of as many people as I can, and I want to work with great people. And so I think one of the biggest things for me has been learning to plant the seed on the front end that I'm going to work so hard for you, and I'm going to like go to bat, and I'm going to show up for you, and I'm going to give you the best experience that I can here and get the job done. Like, we're going to buy or sell your home. We're going to try to get you what you need and what you want. We're going to try to make that happen. And I'm going to do such a great job for you that by the end of it, you can't help but refer me to your friends and family. I think so much of it is just it's actually not a form. I think asking for referrals is not a form of being salesy. It's an education, because I think a lot of people don't know that referrals matter to you, that you grow your business through referral, that you want to help as many people as possible. And, I think educating people on that, or just sharing that on some level. And then when you go to ask them down the road, like, hey, remember I talked about referrals? I haven't talked to you about that since then, or, I thank you so much for your review, by the way, that was amazing. And I just want to ask you, is there anyone in your circle, like friends, family, neighbors, that have been talking about real estate that might need support, that you would feel comfortable inviting me into the conversation? Because, that's what I do. That's what I do. And sometimes, I need to ask because people don't think of it. So I'm just curious if you've come across anybody that might need support. So I think it's not desperate, it's deliberate. It's,
So let me know how this sounds, Vonny. If you've been listening this far in the podcast, we really, really appreciate it. And we've just been trying to educate you and entertain you over the past year and a half. And, if you do know, even if you're not moving, if you know anybody in Toronto or Surrey or any market across Canada, we can connect you with someone awesome. It will really, really would mean the world to Steve and myself if you'd think of us. Is that good?
I love it. I love it so much.
How about, if you value this podcast this far in, can you hit the friggin' subscribe button already, guys? Come on, killing me over here.
Just to be clear, though, I'd rather a referral than a subscribe. Okay.
I mean, yeah, definitely. But that's what, that's almost a Canadian thing, right? Like, we almost feel that we can't ask for business. And I think the reason the States tends to be a little bit more entrepreneurial, and maybe Calgary's the same way, is because it's understood, like, hey, I'm running a business here. And if I can help provide the service that I provide to people to a friend of yours, I would love to do that, because you don't suck. And we worked well together, and I liked working with you. So you probably know other people that don't suck. So let's keep this going, right? And we also feel the same way. Whenever I find anybody that really, truly helps me, and customer service sucks these days in most places, in my opinion, I feel like I want to go back and service those people better and send them more business. Right? Like, I just want to do it more, and it's okay to ask. Like, I noticed a big difference in the YouTube channel. I did one thing, and Tom, you told me to do this, so you can take credit for it. You were like, did you know that you could just tell people that if they need your help, you can just, reach out to me? And so that's when I started putting my calendar link into the YouTube videos. Tom's getting arrested over there, I think. I started putting my calendar link in the YouTube videos and just being like, hey, if you need help, you can book a call with me anytime. And then calls just started getting booked, because guess what? There are people out there that need help.
Yeah.
And make it easy. Make it easy for them to connect with you.
For you, to review you. Yeah. It's like you're almost not doing them a favor, but in a way, like, make yourself referable, but then give them an opportunity to refer you. Like, that's a service too. I do think, like, make it easy for them to review. We ask for reviews. Why not referrals? I think, I think if you word it in a way that's of service, Like, is there anyone else you know that I could support?
Who was it? Sorry to cut you off. I just want to add to this, Vonny. At the Vancouver event, somebody said, I forget what speaker it was, like when someone says thank you, you have a moment of influence.
Keith Roy.
Was it Keith that said it? I don't want to give Keith credit. Okay.
No. It was somebody else. Let's say it was somebody else. Let's say it was Joe Polish.
Yeah, let's say it's Joe. So when someone said, thank you so much for doing the thing that you said you're going to do, that's then a good opportunity to say to them, well, hey, thank you. We appreciate it. Also, I probably wouldn't use that you don't suck, but you're awesome.
You're awesome.
You know anybody else awesome? Because I'd love to work with other people like you.
Suck. Do you know other people that don't suck? You know what's funny? What I find is we get, the real estate industry, these guys are just in it for their commissions, and we get all that stuff. And then those same people are usually the people drop in the comments that say things like, you shouldn't invest in real estate. You should invest in business. Well, guess what, suckers? You're not really into referring business. Does that make sense? Like, those are the people that are like, oh, we should be more business minded. Oh yeah. Then guess what? Start supporting business.
Right.
Start doing it. Right. You can only get your business supported and make your great moves in business instead of investing in real estate, which is a smarter move, but we can get to that another time. Like, you have to also support other people's business. They're not just going to support you in getting you rich. You have to support them. And obviously biased to the way I support people is to get them into the homes that they want, regardless of good time to buy, bad time to buy, all that stuff. So giving people what they want is basically the only way to get successful in business.
Yep.
You could possibly short term make a few sales. You could, what do they call that? What was the crypto, the guy that just got sentenced here? What that guy going on? You can, that Bankman-Fried guy, you can try and scam people for a short period of time.
Yeah.
But
if you want to, if you want to live in a business world where your business thrives for your whole career, it is supplying people with what they want and doing a good job for them.
Yeah, 100%.
But let's overcomplicate it, okay?
Let's.
Vonny, this was so much fun. Thank you so much for coming on. I want to make sure that everyone that listens to the end knows so they can reach out to you, because is it fair to say that if someone's listening at home, they're like, oh my God, I used to have Cutco knives and I still have the ones I have, but I'd like to add to my set. You don't have to be a real estate agent to reach out to you to order. Is that a fair statement?
Fair statement. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I've been using them, by the way.
How many Cutco knives do you have in your house?
I mean, I have a full block set. I don't know exactly the amount, but I have my cottage and my house has a full block of Cutco knives. So we use them every single day. My favorite one is the one that's got the red handle with our old branding. I never get to use it because it's always been used and then it's in the dishwasher.
So I've got at least 10 plus the ice cream scoop plus the scissors. And I'm going to tell you.
Vonny, do you have scissors with you? Can we cut a penny here today?
Let me find it.
No. Don't cut a penny. Oh, you're going to have the what do you call it, guys coming after you. You can't deface.
I think it's fine.
Well, pennies are no good anymore. That's right. But the cheese knife, man. I'm telling you, the cheese knife, that's the one you want.
That's the one you want?
I live my life with the cheese knife.
We give it to all of our clients, and I use it literally every single day. And obviously, if you've listened this long, you can understand that this is not a sponsored podcast. Like, this is a service that we provide with someone that we really like. Okay. All right. Are we ready to cut a penny? By the way, these are Cutco scissors, I would assume, correct?
These are Cutco scissors. Yeah, we're famous for these. They've been on TV shows, I guess, like How It's Made and like different shows.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is already. I'm running out of pennies, as you can imagine. It's hard to get. So this is already I already cut some of this, but
yeah.
Thank you for letting me cut a penny, because it feels like my day is full.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's filled once I cut a penny. Like, it's empty, a little bit more empty if I don't cut a penny in a day. Okay. I think I've cut 2,000 or so more pennies with these scissors, and they've never been sharpened. So we use them daily.
Yeah.
Obviously, for cutting pennies. I'm just kidding. And they come apart so you can clean them. But yeah, chicken bones, paper cut. They're awesome. Obviously,
you need to cut pennies. If you have a real need, if your need and your desire in the world is to cut pennies, you know where to go from now on.
That's great.
Vonny, how can people that have listened to us ramble on for an hour, how can they connect with you directly?
Yeah. So Instagram, Facebook, I think it's all at Vonny Sharp Gifts.
Okay.
That's more the gifting side. So sharpgifts.ca, but you can get all my contact information there for even Cutco for your home if you have questions on that, need sharpening or just want to add to your collection. But yeah, on the gifting side, sharpgifts.ca.
Okay. Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. This was a really, really fun conversation. Thank you, everyone that has listened this far in. I hope you've enjoyed today's conversation. If you're still watching us on YouTube and you still haven't liked and you still haven't subscribed and you still haven't sent me or Steve a referral, well, we're just a little disappointed at this point. That's all I'll say. Okay. We will see you next Sunday. On behalf of myself, Steve, and Vonny, thank you for listening. Have a great day, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Vonny. That was fantastic.
Just one.